Hello Nintendo Wii here, welcome back to Let's Play Retro Games, and welcome to part 1 of my Snes games collection. In this part I'm just going to be taking a look at some of my boxed games. So just before we start this video I do have a few really quick points to bring up. First of all, there won't be any gameplay because unfortunately my computer crashed and I lost all the gameplay footage, but fortunately I do still have the footage from the camera. The second point is, it was extremely hot that day, so please excuse me if I do look a little bit sweaty. And third, to end on a positive note, thank you so much to all my new subscribers. I've noticed that it's going up and up recently, so just a big thank you to everyone who's subscribed to the channel, and please enjoy the video. Now over to me from a few days ago. The first game we have here is Toy Story. I really loved this game growing up. This was one of the very first games that I got with the system back when I was about 4 or 5 years old, so I have very fond memories of Toy Story. If you've played the game before, if you've seen it, you know the graphics are really incredible. I was also completely blown away at the time by the fact that they actually had scenes from the movie in the game. It's really fun, it mixes up the gameplay a bit with different mechanics. I'd really recommend it. I think it's also on the Mega Drive as well. The second one we have here, slightly more recent pickup. This is a game that plays with the Super Scope. This is Yoshis Safari. Unfortunately, I've never actually been able to play this game because my Super Scope doesn't work. I've actually got 2 Super Scopes and neither of them work, so it's quite disappointing that I've never actually managed to try this game, but I do have it complete in box and I would love to get this working Super Scope one day. It's a bit frustrating, but what can you do? Next one here, and one of my favourite games of all time, this is Donkey Kong Country. I absolutely love this game. Once again, it's one of them games that I know completely off by heart. I can whiz through this game, no problem. I do actually prefer the second one, but for some reason I don't have the box for the other 2 games anymore. I don't know where they've gone, but I've still got the box for the first one, and although it's crossed out, I do actually have the soundtrack CD as well, somewhere. And just like Toy Story, this is actually one of the very first games that I ever played, so I have a huge attachment to this game, and everyone should play it if you like platformers. Next up here, if you watched my Sega Saturn episode, you'll know how much of a fan of Proteus I am. This was the first one I ever played in the series, and once again I had it around the same time as Donkey Kong, so another game that I know off by heart. Absolutely love the entire Proteus series, they're so good. And the next one, got this one in college from GameZone. Just before they were shutting down, they had a big sale on SNES games, and you could actually pick up complete in-box SNES games really cheap. This one's Street Racer, an average game, but it was really cool to see it. Brand new as well. I think it was only like 5 or 10 quid because they were on clearance. So I had to snap that one up. Next up, a game that I got a long time ago from the same place, from GameZone in Shrewsbury. Chessmaster. Nothing too exciting, it's just virtual chess. And this is a game that my friend Zach, who I've done a few videos with on here, bought for me for my birthday one year. Thank you so much, I absolutely love this game, apart from the boss fight at the end, because that's just impossible. I've never been able to finish it, but I have played all the way through up until that point a fair few times, and I do really love Equinix's earlier games, so that was Actraiser. Next up here, another game that I absolutely love. I did a Retro Game a Week video about this one a while ago. This is Pluck. One of the best games on the SNES and one of the greatest 2D platformers of all time. It's basically Rayman before Rayman was a thing. I've talked about it countless times on my channel already, so go back and watch the earlier video. I'll put the link in the description down there. 100% recommend Pluck if you've got a SNES. And a very recent pickup here. This is one that I got from the last London Retro Gaming Market. Not the one that's just been, but the one in April. This is called Equinix. This was actually, I bought this one from the guy who writes Hyperplay RPG. He did a really good deal on it. It is complete in box. He did find the manual as well, so really nice to have this. And this does sort of tie into Pluck because it was actually made by the same people, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get it. Although it is a really fun game in its own right as well. And that's that first pile down. I do seem to be missing a few games here, which I will get to in my unboxed games that I'm going to be doing in the next part. Not sure where the boxes are, I haven't got all of them with me, but let's keep on going. Here's Kirby's Dream Course. Not my favourite Kirby game on the SNES, but it's definitely up there as one of my favourites. It's completely different to any other Kirby game. It's more like a mini golf game, but you can use Kirby's powers to help you get around the level. Really, really fun, and it's also on the SNES Mini if anyone wants to go and play it today. Next up, this one's more for my girlfriend than me. This is Jungle Book. I know she really loves these old Virgin Interactive Disney games, so I had to get this one and we played it all the way through. It's really fun actually. Next up here, another game that I played with my girlfriend and another game that is really, really fun. This one is Secret of Mana. I do have kind of a story about how I got this one. It was about 10 or 11 years ago from Game Station in Birmingham. I saw the box on the bottom of the counter and I took it up to the counter to pay for it, and unfortunately they couldn't find the game, so I left the shop kind of disheartened, went on eBay and got it complete in box for 20 quid. So there's a nice little backstory to how I got this, and it's absolutely worth the price, although I don't think you'll find it for 20 quid these days. And once again, that is on the Snes Mini. The next one we have here, an absolute classic, Yoshis Island. You really can't go wrong with any of the Mario games on the SNES, and Yoshi's Island is absolutely one of the best games on the entire system. The graphics, the music in this game, everything about it just screams classic Nintendo. I did a Let's Play on Yoshi's Island a while ago, so I'll put that in the description if you want to go and check out a bit more of the game, but I'd highly recommend it to anyone who enjoys platformers. Next up, a very rare game, a very expensive game, but one I am super, super happy to own, and it's also an incredible game at that. This is Terranigma by Quintet. I love Quintet. Illusion of Time, which I'll get to in a minute, is my favourite game ever, so I'm really happy to play the sort of sequel to that game, Terranigma. I haven't got too far in it, I'm only about 10 hours in maybe, but I'm absolutely loving every minute of it, and I can't wait to go back and play more. And completely opposite note, here's an RPG that isn't very good. This is another one that I picked up in Game Zone just before they were closing down. This is basically a kid's version of Final Fantasy called Mystic Quest. It was brought out over here because they thought that the Japanese RPGs at the time were too difficult. So we got this lousy game instead. It's so easy, so tedious and kind of boring to be honest. Pro Jared did an amazing video on it, so I'll link that in the description if you want to go and have a laugh, but I wouldn't recommend this game, not at all. Apart from the music's actually really good. Only a few games left now. Here's Illusion of Time, the game that I was talking about earlier. Absolutely my favourite game ever. I love everything about this game. The graphics, the music, I even listen to the music sometimes, I've got it on my phone. The story as well, oh my god, for a SNES game the story is absolutely unbelievably well told. I mean, the translation's not perfect, it was probably better in Japanese, but even so, I have to say this is still, today, my favourite game ever, Illusion of Time. And if anyone in America wants to go and try and find this game, it's called Illusion of Gaia over there. So, if you're in America, highly recommend going and checking it out. And the next game here, we have Super Mario AllStars, another game that I highly recommend. As I was talking about Zach earlier, I actually did a collaboration with him about games with multiple games in one. I'll link that down below, that's on his channel, so you can go and check that out. And I actually recommended Super Mario AllStars in that video. Definitely, probably the best game you can get for the SNES if you just want a really meaty game to sink your teeth into. It's got 4 of the best platformers ever, so honestly you could play this game forever and not get bored of it. There is another version of it which also includes Super Mario World, which I would recommend over this one, but it's also a lot harder to find. And the final game we have here, yes, I'm missing a few of the boxes, I think they're back in my old house, so these are just the ones that I've got here, but like I said, I've got all the carts with me, so you'll see the rest of my games in the next video. This one is Tetris Attack, otherwise known in Japan as Panel de Pon. Really, really great puzzle game. It's, if you've played the Puzzle League series or Pokemon Puzzle League, you'll know exactly what to expect with this. Nothing like Tetris, let's just put it that way. There's also a new game coming out on iOS and Android soon called Super Plexus. They seem like a really great bunch of guys, so I'm definitely following them for updates, and it plays just like this. So really recommend Tetris Attack if you enjoy your puzzle games. So I just went to put the games back on the shelf and I actually missed out 3 of the best ones, so here we go. This is Chrono Trigger, the first one here. I'm sure you've all heard of this game before, and I'm very, very lucky to also have this signed by the creator of Chrono Trigger himself. He was actually at a Comic-Con one day, so I actually took the game down and got it signed. So that is an amazing collectible item to have, and it's complete in box with the map and the manual, and it is an incredible game. If no one's played it before, easily one of the best RPGs ever. Highly, highly recommend it. It's also on the DS, and there's a recent PC release which I hear isn't great, so it's probably best to either play the original or the DS one. And on the topic of RPGs, here's another one, another amazing game. This one's Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals. So another game that I absolutely love. The main thing that makes this one stand out from other RPGs is the incredible dungeons. The puzzle design in the dungeons is just amazing. I really love the fact that it's not just random encounters, but there's actual, like, Golden Sun style puzzles as you're going through them as well. And it's also really fast paced, which is great to see from an RPG. So it's definitely one that I can never get bored of. Really love Lufia, and I'd love to play the first one at some point too. And the final game here, not sure if I should include this because it's technically not a boxed SNES game because there's no game inside it, but it did come with the Super NT, which is what I play the SNES games on. So this is Super Turrican, the Director's Cut. It's basically an enhanced version of Super Turrican that was released exclusively with the analog Super NT. So if you're interested in that system, I've got it here. Let me just unplug it. So if you're interested in, here it is, the Super NT, I've got a video review, I'll link it in the description. Really interesting little clone console that actually really makes the game stand out in super HD graphics. So definitely recommend one, but go and check the link down there anyway and take a look at my review of the system. So, a fairly quick video this time, but don't worry, there's plenty more to come from my SNES collection. So stay tuned, don't forget to leave a comment down below, let me know some of your favourite games. If you've got any rare boxed SNES games, let me know because that would be really cool to find out. As always, stay tuned next week for another video, and don't forget to check me out on Patreon. So thank you very much for watching, I'll see you next week. Goodbye.